Welcome. This is Friday night. This is Errol Williams. I want to say welcome to each and every one of you. If you're watching this live, welcome. If you're watching this as a pre-recorded show, then I want to also say welcome to you. Well, it's just 1 hour, so I don't want to waste any time whatsoever. If you're actually watching this live, I would like for you to contact me either via my mobile, and you can actually, those of you that know my mobile, in fact, I think I should put my mobile address up. So let me see if I can do that so that you can have contact with me. So if I put that down here, is 07956872141. Okay, there's my number. So if you have a question that you'd like to ask me, if you have a point you'd like to make, please do not hesitate to text me. Now, if you're watching this live as well on the website, there is a kind of strip, if you like, at the bottom left, which say that you can join the conversation. Click on that. It takes you into the chat room. And also, once you're in the chat room, if you look above your head, you will see 9 squares. Just click on that, and you'll be able to ask me any questions or make any comment that you would like. And I'm not going to waste any time, really. As I said before, time really is very, very important. So I want to get going. It's about tips, techniques, ideas, principles, and strategies, in fact. And I want to get started straight away with tip number 1. And I want to just bring up, if you like, a slide so that you could see the point that I would like to address as we get going. So again, I want to say welcome. If you have any question, do text it to me. Just text it to me on my mobile, and I'll be more than happy to address that with you. So appreciate that very, very much. Okay. So again, I want to say welcome. It's Friday evening. It's 10 to 11. You know, I'm kind of excited because I love to share and give, tips to people. Not too long, came home, excited about this presentation, if you like, and about any questions that you may have, etc. And if you're watching this from home, I want to say welcome. I want to shout out, it's probably just 2 hours away, from a great friend of mine, Denise Christie. It's going to be her birthday in around 2 hours' time, and I want to say happy birthday to her. I doubt if she's listening, but if she is, I'll be so excited if she's listening. But happy birthday to my great friend, Denise. Now, I'm going to share my screen, which simply means that you'll be able to see my very first thought, and I would like to share that with you. And it talks about maximizing your impact. Maximizing your impact. Now, what matters most is not really how people see you. It's not really how people see you that's really key here. It's really how you see yourself. That's really very important, because, you know, the truth of the matter is people are going to see you in different ways. They're going to see you in ways that you wouldn't want them to see you. People are going to be negative to you. They're going to hate you. They're going to disbelieve you. They're not going to have faith or confidence or any kind of assurance in you. But what matters most is not really what they think or what they say or what they do. What matters most is how you see yourself. How do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as a cat or a lion? Do you see yourself as a mouse, or do you see yourself as an elephant? Or do you see yourself as, this is my favorite, as a chicken, or do you see yourself as an eagle? And I would like to see myself, and I do see myself as an eagle. The picture that you consistently hold in your mind will eventually be played out in your life, and it may affect others. In fact, some people say it will, and I kind of agree with that. It will affect others. The picture, the imagination that you hold in your mind will eventually be played out in your life. And the truth of the matter is, it will affect other people. So how do you see yourself? Do you see yourself negatively? Now, there is a proverbial statement, which I love very much, that really kind of confirms this and really puts it into proper perspective when it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. As you think, so you become. It's important also to recognize, actually, that where you are in life today is as a result of the way you've been thinking over the last 10 years or so. The way you think is very, very important. If you think negatively about yourself, you will produce negative feelings and negative impact. Okay. If you think positive, you will produce positive outcomes. And so it's very, very important to examine your thoughts. It has been said, in fact, that we think on average approximately 12 to 70,000 different thoughts per day. 12 to 70,000 thoughts. It's also said in those research that 70% of those thoughts are negative. Now, can you think about that for a moment? If you're having, let's say, 12,000 thoughts per day, 12,000, and 70% of that is negative, and as you think in your heart, so you become, can you imagine what you're going to produce? Are you with me? If you're thinking negatively constantly, 70% of the time, then you're going to produce that kind of impact. See, what you focus on in life will eventually affect you. What you keep thinking about, what you keep mulling over in your mind, what you keep meditating upon, what you keep imagining will eventually be played out in your life. So you got to be very, very careful. As we think, so we become. Now, I don't know about you, but this was the wise man Solomon. Now, it is said that Solomon was the wisest man that ever lived. There was nobody wiser than him, except obviously, of course, Jesus Christ. And Solomon, the king, the wisest man that ever lived, said, as we think, so we become. Have you examined your thoughts recently? Have you really looked at your life and thought to yourself, I'm not kind of happy with the way things are? I'm not happy with the way people are treating me. I'm not happy with the outcome. I suggest you examine your thoughts. I suggest you look at the way you are thinking about things. I suggest you take a serious examination and examine, how am I been thinking? I think one of the most powerful things that has been given to us is the power of imagination. I think this is one of the most powerful gifts that we as human beings have, that we can change the future. We can create our future based upon our thought processes. You see, that which you consistently think about, listen to this carefully, that which you consistently think about, you are driven to do. So as you meditate upon something and as you think about things, it's amazing how it impacts on your ability to go and try it. And as you try it and try it and try it, that which you persist in doing becomes easier to do. Not because the nature of the thing becomes less difficult, but through doing, your power to do increases. And so it's very, very important. What picture do you see of yourself? And I want to show you this picture again, because I think this picture is such a powerful picture. And I think that you ought to really take a photograph of this. I don't know if you can actually print your screen, but this is a very powerful picture. It's about maximizing your impact wherever you are, whether it's in an interview, whether it's with your spouse, friends, or colleagues, or in a social context. It really doesn't really matter. The key here is not what others think about you or what they say about you. People are always going to think about you, and they're always going to talk about you. But what matters most is how you see yourself. How do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as a chicken, or do you see yourself as a super eagle? How do you think about yourself? And it's interesting actually that the Bible gives us a few ways in which we can think about ourselves. He says things like, I'm blessed coming in and I'm blessed going out. I'm the head and not the tail, above and not beneath. Are you with me? So as you begin to think about yourself in certain ways over a period of time, it really does have an impact on your life. The picture that you consistently hold in your mind will eventually be played out in your life. And please don't forget this point. It will affect others. Okay, I want to say welcome to everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into this late night, Friday night broadcast, 1 hour tips with Errol Williams. Now, I will share tips as I go along. But if you have any questions or comments, etc., I'm just checking my phone to see if anyone has sent me any text. You can send me a text of something, a question that you may have, and I will be more than happy to address that point. So I want to again say, just above your head, if you're inside the chat room, there are 9 little boxes. You can click on that and you can see a Q&A. You could type a question to me, and even if you want to make a comment, then I could actually look at that. So I want to say thank you for coming. Appreciate you being here. Quite a few people that's online, and I want to say welcome to you on this late Friday evening. You know, I rather share something with somebody rather than be watching a film or messing around. The grandchildren, they're all out there waiting for me. I've put a sign on my door saying on air, do not disturb. So I will check them out a little later. So if you have a question that you'd like for me to address, if you have a particular point that you'd like for me to share, I will be more than happy to do so. Okay, more than happy to do so. So if you have no question at all, then I'm going to actually move on to my second tip. My second tip. And we've only got 50 minutes left, so I don't want to waste your time. I just want to share with you these tips as we go along. Now, I want to share with you, in fact, what I refer to as the seven steps to becoming a champion. And I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, actually, maybe in around 10 minutes. So you want to probably print the screen or write these down, because I guarantee you these particular tips, you're going to love them. I'm sure about that. Now, the very first tip is you should have values, okay? Values in life. A value is really defined as the thing that is of most importance to you, most worth or desirability. What are the most important things to you in life? You got to ask yourself that question. What would I die for? What are those things that I would really die for? You know, Dr. Martin Luther King says, if you have not found a cause in life worth dying for, then you are really not fit to live. You know, that's a very, very, very powerful statement. You know, that's a very, very powerful statement. If you have not found a cause in life worth dying for, then you're not really fit to live. So the very first step, really, I believe, in becoming a champion is to really kind of say to yourself, what are the most important things to me in life? Some people would say God. So that would be my greatest value, my core value. I want you to think of this like a tree, and at the bottom of the tree is a root. The most important part of the tree is the root, not the fruit, not the symptoms, not the vision, not the goals, but the root. Destroy the root and you've destroyed the tree. Destroy a person's values and you destroy that person. So my number one value in life is Yahweh, Jehovah God. He is my number one value. He is the most important person or anything else in the world to me. My family then is my second value, my second priority. And the third one would then be the church, and so on and so forth. Now, I would always put God before my family, and I would always put my family before the church. So I would strongly say to you, what are your values? What are those things in life that you would die for? Would you die for your faith in God? Would you die for your family? Would you die for your church? Define what your values are. And I would say this to you, make a statement about that. You know, when I wrote my first book, I chose 8 specific areas that I regard as my values, and I made a statement referring to all of them. And when I came to God, I said, I will love God with all my heart, soul, mind, and strength. And I would love my neighbors as I love myself. That's my number one value. And then I made a statement for my family that I would support them, encourage them, and be there for them, etc., etc. And, you know, I've been doing that for a very long time. That's why I love being a husband, love being a father, love fulfilling those roles more than anything else on the planet, more than being a pastor, an overseer, etc. Family comes second. God first. So I strongly recommend that you consider the possibility of considering your family, okay? And also consider your values. Okay, let's move on to number two. Number two is that you must have a vision, okay? Very, very important. You must have a vision. Now, Proverbs 29:18 says, where there is no vision, the people perish. Without a vision, you will perish. So I strongly recommend that you have a vision. Now, don't make the mistake most people make. They have not written the vision. They have not written it down. They have made some drastic mistakes. And let me say this, and let me come back on the screen so you can see me. I want you to see me as I make these statements. Listen to me carefully. Only 3% of the population have written down their goals, according to Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2 and 3. Write the vision, make it plain. I have never been to a major organization. No, I've been to quite a few. And I've never been to one that did not have a written goal of what it was trying to achieve. They have it written in their memorandum and article of association, or in their constitution, or in their trust documents. It's written down. They are obeying the law. So only 3% of the population have written goal. Guess what? Who do you think is running the countries? The 3%. I want to suggest from tonight, become a part of the 3%. Leave the 97% behind. Get your goals. Get your paper and pen out tonight and write down. Listen, this is what you do. You make a list of everything that you would like to achieve in your entire lifetime from this moment until you die. You might say to me, well, I don't know when I'm going to die. Well, we don't. But set some goals. Just set some goals of the things you'd like to achieve before you die. Welcome, Hassan. Welcome, welcome. You say, what to do if I'm afraid of my future, including studies, job, and anything else? Very good question. I'm going to come to that just in a moment. I just want to finish these points, and I'm going to come to that very powerful point there. And I'm going to come to that just in a moment. Now, let me just go through and run through these so we can cover at least a few more points before we close. So you have your values. Make sure you write your vision down, things that you would like to achieve before you die. Next step, out of the 7 steps of being a champion, you got to have an immense belief. Immense belief. You got to say, no matter what, I'm going to achieve that. Even if you get setbacks, you got to still keep on belief. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. You got to keep on telling yourself. You got to have that immense belief that even if you tried it 10 times, it didn't work. No, you tried 11th time, didn't work. 13th time, didn't work. 88 times, didn't work. 99 times, didn't work. You keep on going until it worked. You see, this statement is so powerful. Winners never quit, and quitters never win. Step number 3 here is that you must believe. Listen carefully. You must believe in your values. You must believe in your vision, and you've got to believe in yourself. You got to keep telling yourself, you know what? I can do this. I can do this. I can do this, and never stop believing. You must have a strategy. If you fail to plan, then you have planned to fail. The wise man Solomon puts it this way, and I love the way he puts it. He says it this way: go to the ants, you sluggard, and consider their ways and be wise. So it's very, very important that you have a strategy. Always work from a plan. A strategy is a plan. As I said before, if you fail to plan, you really, in fact, have planned to fail. I love this, you know, this is how I teach company. Do it right now. Do it right now, Errol Williams, or whatever your name is, Hassan. Do it right now, Hassan. Don't delay. Do it right. Do it right now. And you see, many of us basically, we have great strategies, but we don't really implement them. We don't really put it into practice. And that's why I said do it, do it right now, and put your name there. Do it right now, whatever your name is. And I strongly recommend that you follow these 7 approaches. It really, really is powerful. They do work. Okay, so I want to say again, do it right now. Put your name in there. Be careful how you talk to yourself. As I made mention in the very first point, and this links in with this, and I call it open communication. The way you talk to yourself is very, very important. The way you talk to people about your dream, you got to talk to them about it in confidence. And despite what they say, it really doesn't matter. It's about what you say that really counts. So speak positively. Remember this, Proverbs, again, the wise man Solomon, 18:21 says, as death and life is in the power of the tongue. So you got to bear in mind that the way that you are talking will either produce death or life. Okay, remember this, death and life. You can't get two greater contrast than death and life. You just can't. But yet, death and life is in the power of your tongue. So the question I would ask you is, what have you been saying lately? What have you been thinking? What have you been saying to yourself? What have you been saying about you? Be very careful of what you say, because death and life is in the power of the tongue. Okay? And never fail to review. This is one of the major mistakes that people make. They don't review. They don't evaluate. They don't stop at the end of the year and say, you know what, let me see what I've achieved. You know, you need to examine, have I achieved my aim? How effective or appropriate was the plan? Have I learned anything, throughout the year, etc., etc. Now, if you take the first letter of each of those words, it forms the word vision, and it's the way that you can easily remember it. V for value. You got the vision coming down the middle. Then the next V is for values, immense belief, strategy, implementation or implement, open communication, and never, ever give up. Now, I hope that makes sense to you. And if you have any question relating to what I've just said, then I'll be more than happy to actually address those points. So very, very important. Let me say again, if you want to be a champion, follow those 7 key tips that champions follow. And I've discovered that all the champions that I've looked at throughout the last 30 years, they have followed those principles. They have their values, they have their vision, they have an immense belief in themselves, they have a strategy, they have their plan, they're actually implementing it, they speak wisely. Remember this, death and life is in your tongue. Now listen to this carefully. Death and life is not in the government. Death and life is not in the Conservative Party. Death and life is not in the Labour Party. It's not in the Liberal Democrats. Death and life is not in your bank account. Death and life is not in your employer. Death and life is not in your spouse. Death and life is in your tongue. You're the one that can give yourself life or death. It's in the power of your tongue. Remember, it's not what other people say about you or think about you or do against you. It's what you do. I believe that one of the greatest abuse in life is self-abuse, the way we abuse ourselves through our own behavior. Okay, let me address this great point that was brought up. It says, what to do if you're afraid of my future, including studies, job, and anything else. Now, that speaks to me of fear, obviously. And the question I would ask really, in a sense, is, what am I afraid of? Are you with me? You've got to examine, what is it that I'm afraid of? What is it that I'm afraid of? Because fear, F-E-A-R, I heard somebody once put it this way, F-E-A-R stands for false evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. So what you're fearing is a future thing. I'm fearing failure, or I'm fearing success. It hasn't yet happened. Okay, so that fear is based upon my thought process. It's based upon the way I'm thinking. I'm fearing something based upon the future, but based upon the way I'm thinking. Now, if I can change my thought process, I can change my feelings and I can change my outcome. So, in the light of what to do, is to stop fearing, stop thinking the way you're thinking. Because if you're fearing, think of it this way: I'm afraid of my wife leaving. I'm afraid of being successful. Well, where is that fear? It's here. Now, we all know, those of us who are Christians, where the Bible would tell us that God did not give us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. So fear has to come from somewhere. And generally speaking, it's coming from the way I'm thinking. So I've got to be careful of my thought line. Now, I wanted to show a slide, actually, if I can get to that particular slide, and just to share a thought with you in reference to that. I think that might also help the picture. And I actually call this my stress model. Okay, this is normally when I teach my stress management course, and you can come back to me on this point as well. I'd love to hear what you have to say after. Let's just share this with you, and I want to ask you the question. In a sense, I like to ask this question. You know, which car do you drive? And I call it stress model. Now, and you can see from this, I say, what car do you drive? You know, CAR. And every one of us have challenges in life. We have pressures, we have strains, we have tensions, we have challenges, we have problems, we have situations, and we also have opportunities. Now, we all have this. Man born of a woman is of a few days, but it's full of trouble. Everybody has troubles in life. Every one of us. The Queen has it. The president has it. The prime minister have it. The Pope have it. Newborn babies have it. There is not one person on the planet, I believe, that doesn't have pressures and strains and tensions, all kinds of issues. You know, we hear of children telling you they're very stressed out. They're children who are doing some very, very terrible things. And so everybody have these. Now, the key to this now is, what actions do you take? In other words, how do you think about it? What words do you speak? And what actions do you take? You see, because we all have these challenges. And then you have to ask yourself the question, what action do you take? How do you think about the thing? What is your thought process like over this job, or over your spouse or your children, or whatever it is that you're going through? What words do you speak? Remember what I said earlier? Death and life is in the power of your tongue. Not only that, death and life is also in the power of your thoughts. You see, as you think, so you become. What action do you take? What do you do? Now, based upon the action that you take, listen to this carefully, based upon the action you take will determine whether or not you grow. Listen to this, whether or not you grow, or whether or not you become stressed. Whether or not you get better, or whether or not you get bitter. Whether or not you develop, or whether or not you don't develop. Remember, everyone have challenges. And everyone has to take action in relation to those challenges. But based upon the action you take will determine whether or not you grow, or whether or not you become very, very stressed. Okay, very, very important. So I want you just to bear that in mind, that this is a very, very, very important model that I've just shown you. What car do you drive in? Okay, what car do you drive in? Let me just go back again and show you that, so you can see. Those of you who've got, I think, yeah, that's fine. Okay, now, what car do you drive in? I hope that makes sense. I always think, what is waiting me? Repeat that again for me if you don't mind. I always think, what is waiting me? Repeat that again for me. Just do that again. I want to say welcome to all of you that's here. Appreciate those of you who are watching on your iPhone, your iPad, whatever devices you're watching on. You can text me on the number below. We got 30 minutes left. 07956872141. Whatever you miss, you can watch it. The broadcast will still be here at the same website, cogop.com. So welcome to everyone. You can text me. I've got my phone right here waiting to receive a text from you. Okay, so please send me a text if you want, or you can click on the 9 dots above my head, providing you've come into the chat room, and you can also send me any question in the chat room, in the Q&A section. So I'll await your response. If not, then I will go on. I think what's coming through so far tonight is be very careful of how you're thinking. Be very careful of your thought process. Excellent point. Now, I'm going to move on then to something else that I thought would be great benefit to us. And I think it's very important personally that we are very careful how we deal with our challenges in life. Okay, our challenges in life. And one of the things that I've come to realize basically is that many of us, we struggle with dealing with our challenges. And I want to show you a little picture that I often carry around with me. I think it's just so powerful. Do you carry your worries with you everywhere you go? This is so interesting because earlier I made mention that as that man that is born of a woman is of a few days, but it's full of trouble. We all have troubles. And the question is, do you carry your worries with you everywhere you go? I want you to take a good look at my friend here with his wheelbarrow. And everywhere he goes, he carries his worries with him. And it will weigh you down. This is no doubt about it. It will weigh you down. Now, being a pastor, being a leader, being a counselor, being a personal development coach, I meet with people on a very regular basis, sharing their worries, their burdens, their anxieties with me. My own worries is enough to destroy me, much less the burdens and anxieties and worries of everybody else. I'm told many years ago, in fact, that suicide is high among counselors. Probably that's one of the reasons why so many pastors are retiring per month. The figures is alarming. The amount of pastors who are retiring and counselors who are taking their lives. They can't even cope with their own worries, much less to cope with the worries of all those who come to them. So be careful to take all your worries. You got to have a way of depositing, if you like, your worries, your problems, and all these things. There must be a place that I can take my worries and so on. Some people, what they do basically in terms of dealing with their worries, they do a lot of sports. They do a lot of sports activity. They get involved into a hobby. You know, I love to just get away sometime and just play dominoes with the lads. And obviously, doesn't mean your worries are going away, but you know what? It does help to deal with challenges and situations. And so, okay. Okay, excellent. Thank you very much for that, Hussein. Appreciate that very much. Appreciate that. So be careful to take your worries everywhere you go, because the truth of the matter is, if you take it, let me give you an example of this. There are people who have worries at home with their spouse, with their children, and so on. And when they go to work, they allow those worries that they have at home to affect their work life. And there are people who have lots of worries at work, lots of problems, lots of challenges, and so on. And then what they do, they take those home and they take it out on their family. And that's what I mean when I say, carrying your worries everywhere you go, because it will affect you, and it will affect also your family. So I strongly recommend, in fact, that you are very, very careful about how you carry things around and so on, because it will depress you, it will dishearten you, it will discourage you, it will affect those around you. There is no doubt about that. So we all have problems, we all have these challenges and so on. Okay. So my advice is, we call this actually mental agility. It's the ability to leave all your home worries at home and leave all your work worries at work. Now, I want to give you a master tip of how I deal with my worries. You see, I do carry my worries around with me. I'm going to show you how I do that. Are you ready for this? Okay, here goes a tip. And this tip is probably one of the greatest tips I'll share with you tonight. Okay, here we go. Now, way back around 30 years ago, I was calling all my challenges and all my worries. Let me see if I can bring back that particular tape. I'm trying to see if I could remember where I had put that so I could bring it back to you. Not so sure if I could find it, but let me try and see if I could find that. Now, okay, of course I can find it. And I want to just bring this back up to you here. Okay, here we go. Now, I showed you what car do we drive, okay? I'm going to give you my next tip, and you just don't want to miss this tip. You don't want to miss this tip. Don't go to sleep on me. Okay, I kind of said to you before that we all have problems, pressures, strains, tensions, and all of these things. And we call them problems, don't we? We say, well, I have a problem. I have a problem. I hear people say it this way: I have a problem with my wife. I have a problem with my children. I have a problem at work. I have a problem with the situation, whatever. 30 years ago, I was told never, ever again to say that you have a problem, Errol Williams. Never, ever call your situations, never, ever call a problem a problem. And I said, then what do I call it? And he says, well, why not call it a challenge? And I thought, wow, what a new way of looking at things. This is absolutely fantastic. I think I'll use that. So I went around for the next 10 years or so just saying, I have a challenge. I have a challenge. And you know what was amazing about that? The problem was still there. It didn't go away. But because I was now looking at it differently, in other words, the tip is mindset. We're talking about mind, I think, tonight. Mindset. Be careful of your mindset. So now I'm calling it challenges, and I'm quite happy about that and doing very well. Around 10 years later or so, someone says, that's good that you have changed from problem to challenges. But I think I have a better word that you may want to consider. And I thought, wow, what word would that be? And he says, why not call it an opportunity? And I thought for a moment, an opportunity. You mean, but an opportunity is like a benefit, isn't it? Yeah. So from that particular day, around 20 to 15 years ago or so, I started looking at everything as an opportunity. An opportunity. It's like I come home and my wife has left me and she's gone off with a man. When I come home, she says, well, you know, I found a better man and I'm leaving and I'm taking all the children. And as a matter of fact, I'm taking the house. Not a problem, just an opportunity. You see, you may look at it as a problem. You might actually look at it as a challenge. But now I've been trained over the years to look at it as an opportunity. This is now an opportunity for me to demonstrate how much I love her and how much I care and, try to win her back. And if that doesn't work, still an opportunity. I was teaching this concept many, many, many months ago, many years ago, in fact. And I was in a training course and I was very, very reserved, actually, in the way I was communicating it. Because some people would say, how can you look at everything in life as an opportunity? Supposing someone kill your family, your loved one, how could that be an opportunity? And so I was kind of reserved in how I taught it, and I would use certain words to say, well, you could possibly look at it as an opportunity. You don't have to, but you can possibly look at it. And during the break, a lady came to me during the break of one of the courses I was running in one of these companies. She said, Errol, I want to share with you something that Stephen Lawrence's father said. He said, the death of his son, Stephen, has been a great opportunity that has brought around so many different changes in the law. Now, Mr. Lawrence would never have said that the night he heard his son was murdered. Probably a year after, maybe. But now he looks at it as an opportunity for many things. Of course, he wished his son was still here, and so do I, and so do many of us. But he's now seeing how great an opportunity this was. When you see something as a problem, it conjures up a negative impression in the mind. When you see as a challenge, that conjures up hard work. But when you look at something as an opportunity, it conjures up benefits. This is absolutely key to how you look at things in life. One day I went to, I think it was near Christmas, in fact, I went to the bank to draw some money out, and no money would come out the machine. I just thought, what a great opportunity. When I discovered somebody had got into my account and taken quite a lot of money out, still an opportunity. So based upon my opportunity, if you like, I phoned the bank to find out what was going on. And obviously, I had the money put back. Now, I could have worried myself to death, if you like. I could have worried myself. But you see, worrying would not have changed anything anyway, would it? Getting all frustrated and angry and cursing everybody and cursing the person who took it wouldn't have changed anything anyway. But I was so grateful of the training I'd received so many years ago to look at things as an opportunity. No longer a problem, no longer a challenge, but an opportunity. I called one of my mentors many years ago before he passed away, Bishop Sherman Allen, and I called him and said, Bishop, I have an opportunity I'd like to share with you. He said, Errol Williams, go ahead. And when I told him what it was, he said, Errol Williams, I can never understand you. I will never know when you have a problem from when you have an opportunity. That is so true, because I refuse to be down. I refuse to be discouraged. I refuse to be disheartened. I just refuse to be. Now, that's a choice I make. And the tip that I've just shared with you is about your mindset. Be careful of how you look at things. Be careful of how you view the things that you go through. As of tonight, no longer say I have a problem, I have a challenge, but as of tonight, I want you to say, I have an opportunity. Great. Now, if there's any question, welcome again, everyone. Appreciate you guys joining us and being a part of this great night. I'm enjoying every moment of it. I am so fully awake and so fully alert. And if you have any question, you can text it to me on my number 07956 872 141. Some of these Friday nights, I'm going to allow you to actually phone in where we can hear you and you can phone us in. And in actual fact, you can phone this number right now. I will put it right beside the microphone. So if you want to phone me, we all will hear you. So if you want to try that, phone that number. If you're outside of the UK, 044 and then 7956 872 141. Just checking my phone to see if anyone has texted me and I have missed it. No. You guys are great. Love you guys lots and appreciate you guys being here tonight. I want to share with you one more tip before I go. And one of the things people often ask me is, Errol, how can I find some time to do some of the things I want to do? And I want to share with you 4 tips, basically, as to how you can go about maximizing your time. You know, there are 24 hours in a day, as you know, 168 hours in a week, 86,400 seconds in a day. That's the reality. Now, the way you maximize the usage of your time will determine how effective you are in life. So I want to share with you 4 tips that I have used throughout the years that has just been absolutely phenomenal to me. I mean, it's just taken me to another level. I'm just finding time I never thought I had. People say, Errol, you're busy. And no, I'm not busy. I'm not busy. I just know how to master my time. Okay, I know how to maximize it and how to be more effective and efficient than to waste time like I used to do before. Okay, let me show you my screen so you can see these tips. Maximize your time. Number 1, waiting time. Oh, this is a beauty. Waiting time. Now, I often see people go to meetings and the chairman is late, or certain people are late and the meeting can't start on time, and they get all frustrated and angry and upset and they begin to say things that are negative. My advice to them is maximize your time, your waiting time. Make sure when you go to meetings, or make sure when you're going to be, attending meetings or so, just in case they keep you waiting, you should have maybe a book with you to read, or maybe something to do, your texting, or maybe something to do on your iPad, whatever it is. But make sure you maximize your waiting time. Now, in a week, let's assume for a moment you were kept waiting wherever you are, and it amounted to 1 hour in that week. Well, that was 1 hour you could have used to do some thinking, even sleeping if necessary. One time I went to the hospital with my dear wife, and she had cut her finger, and I had to go to the hospital. I had to take her to the hospital. So before we went, I said, baby, just 1 second. I got myself a plastic bag, and I threw 4 books into the plastic bag, because I know when you go to A&E at the hospital, you're going to be in for some waiting time. So I just throw 4 books in. Listen to this carefully. We were kept waiting almost 4 hours. Can you believe that? Now, guess what I did in that time? Like, you tell me. What do you think I did in that time? Read 4 books? No, I just slept. I mean, I was so tired, I just slept. Now, at least I had the option that if I was not tired, bam, I could do that. Well, recently again, my wife fell ill, and my daughter came, and my granddaughter came, and four of us went to the hospital again. Accident and emergency, small accidents department. So they wanted me to drive, and so I did. And this time I brought my iPad, I brought my laptop, and I brought some other information. When I got to the hospital, make sure we attended to my wife. They saw her, make sure everything is okay, and we just had to play the waiting game. So I asked the receptionist, "Is there a plug around somewhere I could plug my laptop in?" She said, "I don't think so." So I just looked around and skirted around and look around until eventually I found a desk and the plug. Opened my laptop, went to work, gave my iPad to my granddaughter, and we were just there chatting and just working away. What I'm saying is, you don't have to do all of that. You don't have to, but at least you know, if you want to, that particular opportunity is there. So I strongly recommend that you maximize your waiting time. Maximize your waiting time. Don't get frustrated and angry with people about it. Next one, indoor time. Indoor time. Now, indoor time is to do with your work or your home. How organized are you? I just want to say, it's interesting to understand what time is. You know, no one can define time. Nobody alive. I mean, nobody can define it. And so the dictionary says time is a continuum in which events occur. Listen to this again. Let me say this again. Time, let me just check, make sure I'm going to the right place. Okay. Time is a continuum in which events occur from the past to the present to the future. I want to repeat that. No one can define time. No one whatsoever. But the dictionary says time is a continuum. It's always going. A continuum, listen to this carefully, in which events, I want you to hold into that moment, in which events occur from the past to the present to the future. Now, the key about time is about how effective you are in managing your events. Let me give you an example. This is a true life story, by the way, and I put this in my book. A young man was coming from his girlfriend's house. He only lived just around the corner from his girlfriend. He was probably just around 10 doors away when the police stopped him. And the police said, "Sir, we have a burglar in the area, and we just want to ask you a few questions." The young man became very frustrated. You know, "Why are you stopping me? Is it because I'm black? Why are you?" And so he became very argumentative. He got into an altercation with the police, and they arrested him, put him in the police station, and accused him of resisting an arrest, and also accused him for indeed endangering a police officer. Well, he went to court eventually, and he was sentenced to 18 months in prison. 18 months in prison. Now, if that young man, when the police had stopped him, said, "Sir, no problem. I am willing to assist you in any question you may have. I'm just coming from my girlfriend's house. We are planning to get married. In fact, they are my alibi. I was there with them, and I'm just 10 doors away." Now, had he behaved like that, had he managed the event in that way, probably the outcome would have been less different. Now, if you go back to the scenario that I painted before, let's see how many people's time was wasted. Well, he went to prison. His family ended up in court because there was a trial. His girlfriend and his girlfriend's family was in the court. The barristers, the solicitors, the judge, the jury. Are you with me? It was also reported in the press. Can you see the amount of people's time that was wasted? Why? Because of mismanagement of an event. So the way you manage your events, listen to this carefully, the way you manage your events will determine how effective a time manager you are. Key point. You know, I could go downstairs to my wife and says, "You know, did you cook?" And she says, no. And I said, why didn't you cook? She said, because I didn't want to. And I slapped her. And she slapped me back. And I kick her down and she stabbed me in the back. I go to hospital, we go to court, there's a separation, there's a divorce, we got to arrange solicitors to sort out the children and the property. Can you see what just happened? Mismanagement of an event. So time is a continuum in which events occur from the past to the present to the future. The way you manage your events will determine how effective a time manager you are. So when we talk about indoor time, it's the way you manage your time indoors or in your company or in your community or among your friends. I call that indoor time. Your effective managing of all your events. Now remember this, everything in life is an event. When you woke up this morning, that was an event. You went to the bathroom, that was an event. You actually brushed your teeth, that was an event. You went to the kitchen, had something to eat, that was an event. You got into your car, that was an event. You traveled to work, that was an event. You got to work, that was everything in life is an event. So the way you manage those events determines how effective a time manager you are. Tip number 3, sleeping time. Oh, this is such a powerful point, and we could talk about this for such a very, very long time. Sleeping time is powerful. Now, listen to this carefully. It is proven by the scientists and many others that as you're sleeping, you're dreaming. As you're sleeping, you're thinking. And it's very important, actually, the last thing that you do before you go to bed. And so what I always say to people, make sure you get good rest, make sure you sleep well. And also be careful what you're watching late at night before you go to bed. It's interesting, actually, that many of our students, it's amazing how they study late at night. And you see, what happens is, as they study and study and study and revise, when they go to bed, there's something kind of happening in the brain. I can't fully explain how it organizes all information, that you can wake up in the morning and voila, things just are so beautifully seems to be laid out in your mind, as if while you were sleeping, everything was rearranging it, as if he was doing a diagnostic operation as you were sleeping. You know, the kind of thing that you do when you have your computer and you may go through that particular process of scanning and getting everything right and so on, getting rid of all the viruses and so on. So be aware. I think you ought to do more research on sleeping time. And I think sleeping time is just such a powerful, powerful tip. One of the things I love to do when I have a tough opportunity to deal with, I like to pose that question before I go to bed and just go to sleep. And lo and behold, many times I wake up with fresh ideas, fresh thoughts. I watched a film once and went to bed, and I was terrified in the morning when I woke up at how clear the horror story of that film was. So be careful. Last thing you do before you go to bed at night. Trust me in that. Trust me in that. Now, so sleeping time, very important. Okay. Now, have I covered everything? Yeah. Waiting time, be careful, to be getting too hungry and so on. Waiting time, make sure you manage your indoor time. I missed our traveling time. Oh, this is probably my favorite. Okay, traveling time, because when you're traveling, what are you doing with your time? When you're traveling, what are you doing? You may travel in your car. You may travel on a plane. What do you do when you're traveling? If it takes you 1 hour per day to get to work, that's probably, I don't know, let's see, 1 hour a day. How many days in a year? 52, no, 365 days in a year, isn't it? And then you take away maybe 26. Let's say you have around 250 hours that you travel. Do you know you can take a master's in that? So while I study, this is my process. 90% of the time in traveling, I spend listening to educational tapes, and I have them here on my iPhone. That's the reason why I bought 128 gigabyte. so I can store up all my videos and all those things I listen to while I travel. And I don't know if if I can give you an example, if I could find them quick enough, and see. Let me see if I could find. Just found one a minute ago, and then I just messed it all up. Let me see again. Okay, that's the wrong way to do it. This is Wikipedia. I can't find it quick enough to show you where my videos are. Plus it's frozen on me. It seems to froze on me. I can't even press the button. But let me just go over those quickly before I close. The 4 of them, and it forms the word WITS, W-I-T-S, waiting time, W-I-T-S. Make a note of that. Waiting time, indoor time, traveling time, and sleeping time, WITS. So I want to suggest, as we close, use your WITS. Waiting time, indoor time, traveling time, and sleeping time. Use your WITS. Until next week. I'll be back here next week, Friday again, 10 a.m. to 11 o'clock. You're more than welcome to join me. It would be at the same place, crgop.com. This recording will automatically be stored at crgop.com as soon as I click the finish button. I want to say to all of you, thank you so much for coming. I really do sincerely appreciate you coming online. And I was just so happy to share with you these tips. I hope it was of benefit to you. Now, if you missed the earlier tips I made, do watch the recording straight after. Take care of yourself and your family. Until next time, bye-bye.